welcome to the Creative Constitution podcast. Today on this episode, we will be chatting about the toll of method acting on a person's mental health. What does that mean for an actor? Is it good? Is it bad? That's what we're talking about today.
We got Deborah Tamai, we got Jazz Sebastian.
Woo!
Right
let's
here,
go.
and we're ready to talk about it, baby.
Hell yeah. All right, well, to start us off, what is method acting? Personally, I think there's many definitions, but the way that I think it really, what it really means is that you completely change who you are to what the character is. That means you change the way you talk, the way you walk, the way you eat, the way you sleep, literally the whole thing, the whole shebang. And we've seen this happen with many other actors. And sometimes it goes really amazing. You win an Oscar, you get accolades like no tomorrow, but you also get depression and in some cases, death.
Well, that just got really dark really quickly.
But I mean, isn't that true though?
Yeah. Look, it's definitely been the case for a few people.
Yeah.
When we look at the toll it takes, something like method acting, firstly, I think we should sort of talk about how it's perhaps evolved and how it's adapted. As you said, it's an indefinable thing, and there are a lot of different methods of acting, acting methods, method acting being one of them. But I feel it's definitely changed over time, as well as a lot of other things. And it's something that's glorified. Yeah. It has been glorified for a little while.
I think it's been put on a pedestal, that's for sure.
Yeah, as opposed to maybe some of the other styles. It's not a style that is necessarily, I don't think it's used more than any other style in particular. Well, from the actors that we see in Hollywood anyway, as average citizens that look up to the A-list Hollywood stars and go, okay, that's the thing for acting, that's the standard, that's what's happening in the world. That's not necessarily an accurate representation of all performers and actors, working actors, and the percentage, the balance of what methods are used and implemented successfully.
Yeah.
But from just what we see in that Hollywood sort of thing, I feel like it is balanced. It's not necessarily something that's used more, but it is glorified. And why is that? And let's think about that and talk about that maybe.
Yeah. You make a good point about kind of what we see in Hollywood. I think as the general citizen who doesn't really have an acting background and that has never attended an acting class or studied the different methods, I think it seems like every actor, for them to be successful, you have to be a method actor. I think that's such a weird thing, but I find that so true. Like before I went into acting, I mean, I've only really been doing this a few years, really focusing on it. But before that, I would consider myself someone that just kind of, looked at People magazine once in a while and knew enough about Hollywood to know the big stars and stuff. But it seemed like if you wanted to win an Oscar, you have to go method acting. And in order to be a good actor, you have to completely transform yourself and become a character. But the more I do acting, the more I realize that that's not the only way. That isn't necessarily the only path. You can be an actor that just turns it on and off.
Yeah.
And
there's just as much skill, I think, in that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's even more skillful. Maybe the method
to be able to turn it on like a light switch.
Something we do out of fear. And I'll get into that a little bit later with personal experiences.
Wow.
Maybe it is something we do out of fear. Maybe it is something that, say, the pressure is so overwhelming.
Yeah.
And this production is something so huge. And there's a lot riding on that actor's shoulders. And again, tying into mental health, the pressure's put on for a role. Maybe the actor feels like they have to do that. They have to make that sacrifice in order to be appreciated, in order to stand with their peers, to reach that bar that they deem as industry standard performance, because they may feel inferior or insecure within themselves. So in order to reach that level, that pinnacle, they make the sacrifice. They transform themselves completely into the character so that when shooting day comes, it's just that much easier. Whereas an actor that may be a little more wacky, a little more zany and sort of free-flowing, charismatic, energetic, cocksure of themselves, confident, cocky. Maybe they don't need to do that. And I feel we've seen a lot of examples of that in mainstream Hollywood as well. Actors that play zany, wild, wacky characters that require them to move in a ridiculously different way than they normally do.
Yeah.
Change their voice completely, you know?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they're... And they just do it like that. They just do it like that. No problem at all. Maybe no problem at all. They come in and out of character.
Who comes to mind for you with that?
I think Johnny Depp, for sure.
Yeah.
He's a master of that. Captain Jack Sparrow once. And he's, oh, yeah, no, that's fine. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's so true.
And he's not scared of that. It's easy for him. It's just like playing.
But he doesn't have to be Jack Sparrow when he goes home, you know?
No.
I feel like he's very much one of those guys that can just turn it on and off like a light switch.
Yeah.
He might be doing whatever accent he's doing all day when he's on set.
Yeah.
But I think like it doesn't go beyond that, you know? He's not going to drink whiskey all day long because he needs it to be that character, you know? It's so interesting. I mean, for me, I think someone that comes to mind is Leo DiCaprio. I think he's such a chameleon, and he doesn't... I don't ever believe he said he does method acting. If he does, well, crap, messed that up. Yeah. But
no, I think you're right.
I don't think he does. I think he literally just embodies the character when he's on set and then leaves it all behind when he goes home. And I know of many other actors that I have seen several kind of almost presentations, lectures, clips on reels and whatever of people saying, you know, you go to set, you perform, and then you leave it home. It's like going to a 9-to-5 and then you leave it at home. You don't bring the work home with you. Well, you leave it at
work and then you're you when you come home.
Yeah. I think that's a more balanced approach. I mean, when you're an actor, it's a job in a way, right? When you go to set, you need to perform. That's your job. Again, why is that different to like a regular job, I guess, when you're in accounting?
Well, you're dealing with people that mightn't think that way. Again, maybe. And I've felt differently as well about that. I don't think it is a job. I think it's a magic thing. I think it's a special, unique talent that is more rare and special than, you know, your normal 9-to-5 jobbers.
I 100% agree.
Oh, cool. Well, you don't have to. That's the thing. Like, that's for me. And I know there's a lot of successful actors out there that they probably think the same, to be honest. But their branding is to try and be humble and relate to the everyman. So, you know, they're walking off set getting a $6 million paycheck the next week. Oh, you know, I'm just working, man. I'm just like any other guy. You know, I've been this big Hollywood movie, but you know, I'm just working hard. I'm there every day. I show up, and you know, old mate down the road working on that building construction site. You know what? It's like, who are you fooling, bro? I think that's I think you're still acting there, because there are actors that do that and say it's just a job, but there are many actors out there that I think are openly, no, it's not a job.
Yeah.
And it requires this transcendence, this evolution to actually physically change yourself, change your voice, live like a different person.
Yeah.
And sacrifice yourself for those few months that you are developing that character and shooting those scenes in order to feel worthy of the money you're getting and the attention and the massive scale of the production, if that's being shown in cinemas all around the world.
Yeah.
And you're just Joe Blow off the street thinking, oh, it's just another day at work.
Yeah, that's
in a way,
true.
That's kind of not being humble.
Yeah.
That's kind of thinking you aren't in a special situation and really privileged to be able to do that is sort of the opposite of what they're trying to convey as being down to earth and humble about it. It's like, nah, bro, you're getting $10 million to work on this amazing thing that's being shown all around the world in front of bajillions of people.
Yeah.
It's not just a job, really. Maybe it does require you sacrificing a part of yourself. Maybe it does require going full method and becoming this character over time and sort of living as them and merging and molding with them and becoming that until the production's finished.
So it seems like sometimes when you have, and you know, not every actor gets $10 million, you know, but let's just take an example.
They used to. That was nothing back in the day.
So you and I both worked on Elvis. We saw Austin Butler perform in the role of Elvis, and I think throughout like what you were saying just then, I literally was like, oh my God, that's Austin Butler. Like, he literally went full method, changed his voice, and now he like still has that voice.
He still sounds, yeah.
You know, and And he literally embodied that character for like 2+ years.
It's become a part of him now.
It's become a part of him.
Permanently.
And yeah, it's almost left an imprint.
Yeah.
It's like when you're dating someone and, you know, like you and I are kind of like this. We've been together for so many years that now I feel like you've imprinted yourself a little bit on me, you know?
We've taken certain characteristics and traits from each other.
And maybe that's not necessarily on purpose, but maybe from him having practiced and watched so much of Elvis, he's just become like imprinted. Like, you know, maybe he wasn't actually intending to go full method, but it just happened as an accident. But I think what you were saying where like, say you have a big role and you've got that lead role and it actually is quite significantly different from who you are as a person. I actually do agree in a way that you have in part that justice to do to that role and that opportunity that you've been given, and embodying that character as much as possible is going to give the production way more value and probably get a way better performance out of you than if you never even did method.
Yeah.
But I'm always curious as to like how Austin dealt with the pressure of like playing Elvis and kind of whether the method acting that he did
helped or hindered
him in some ways, and whether that had a positive or a negative impact on his mental health.
Yeah.
I think that's why after going full method, actors usually jump straight into another production or another job. Or
well, I think Austin Butler may be the case with him, may be a very positive one. I think, as you said, he accidentally went method over time while not meaning to at the start, but during the course of the production and the filming and how long he was stuck up here down the road for a couple, he was just stuck up here next to us, by the way, down the road for a year or two.
Yeah.
He had nothing else to do. So maybe he did go a little bit stir crazy and loopy, locked in his apartment for so long, practicing all these scenes for a year to 2 years.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I listened to like a couple Elvis songs a few times too much in a row, and
yeah, you're already starting to do it, baby. You know.
Yeah, but I'm also kind of getting a little bit tired of it.
Boy,
Imagine this guy, like, he's listening to every clip,
yeah.
every, like, soundtrack, every song, like, a million times, because he's got to learn the dance moves. He's got to learn how to talk like him. He's got to learn to move like him. Yeah. I mean, good on him, you know, but damn.
Yeah. So I think in Austin's case, it was a really positive thing. And look at him now. Dude's fine. He's doing all right.
Yeah.
He's not like, he may have taken some traits from Elvis because that was like his big pinnacle role.
Yeah.
That he took some traits permanently and they become part of you. But he's doing just fine.
Yeah. I think his voice is better now, to be honest. Like I've seen before in actors. Austin, come on the podcast. Let's talk about your voice, baby.
Yeah, buddy.
You need to confirm or deny whether your experience was a positive or negative one. You're very welcome on the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, so his experience was very positive.
Yes.
But we know of potentially very negative ones.
Very negative ones. Potentially. Elephant in the room. Heath Ledger, my man. R.I.P. wherever he is, wherever his epic, powerful soul is in the infinite universe, somewhere else right now, existing and having a good time, hopefully.
Yeah.
Respect and best wishes to him. What a freaking legend.
Yeah.
But that story, again, I don't want to say the method acting caused his downfall. I don't even want to say drugs caused his downfall because who tells us that? The friggin' media, the newspapers and the mainstream media. And so,
yeah, that's true.
I don't
you have
believe.
To take everything with a grain of salt.
Take everything with a grain of salt. So we can only speculate what caused that unfortunate downfall and situation to occur. But reports were, I won't say whether it's 100% true or not because you don't know because mainstream media, but it was relatively accepted that after the Joker, the toll that took, what he was doing to get into character, to develop the character, even before learning the scenes and stuff, just finding the character and developing it. The stories are all over the internet of what he did to achieve that level of greatness for that character and that level of performance. Absolutely insane and exceptional. But it took a real toll. And then after, We've heard many reports of him struggling with not being able to sleep, not being able to have peace of mind, and taking things to help him get to sleep. And obviously that really took a toll. Obviously it really took a toll.
Yeah.
Whether you believe all the stories or not, you know, to some degree, we do know that he was having to take certain medications to deal with the come off that role, which is very understandable, I think.
Yeah. I think, you know, the fact that he played such a twisted role,
Yeah.
you know, even sometimes at a more amateur and like smaller level, when you're doing a short film and you have to go to dark places in order to get those tears rolling, or you have to run away from some imaginary monster, you know, even there you have small glimpses of method where you take on the tolls of whatever the character is doing, and sometimes that does lead to bad things, or even, you know, bad mental states, and in a way I've experienced that, definitely not as big as Heath Ledger. And, you know, I can just imagine like having, you know, after he's played this twisted character that has all of these kind of crazy thoughts, and how that would snowball as you kind of really take that on, and again the imprinting on your brain. Just because you're portraying a character for 20 filming days, you know, that doesn't leave you after 20 days. Imagine being 20 days of something completely different. That's not just going to leave just like that, especially if it's such a heavy character.
That's definitely a real mental
it's like having a dark cloud.
Negative effect.
Yeah.
Let's look at, because that's not the only thing. And again, we mentioned Heath Ledger because we love him. He's the best, you know.
Yeah. I mean, such a great performance.
There are a lot of other actors that have had similar circumstances.
Yeah.
With roles like that. Mental degradation and scars that take time to heal, and they need help with recovering from after the performance. Another example of an actor that was pushed to the brink with this sort of thing, Shelley Duvall from The Shining. And again, you can look that up anywhere, and the reports are wild. What it took to get through the filming of that and the effects it had on her mind. I think she didn't do anything after for a very, very long time.
Oh my gosh. I mean, when Jack Nicholson comes after you, like
well, it was just insane. She was directed to repeat the same scene like 50 or 60 times in a row, which was one of the most draining. Like, she's bawling her eyes out in this scene, screaming, crying, it's coming to get her or whatever. And the reports are that was like from her 50 to 60 times in a row. Like,
wow.
The directing methods on that film, and again, genius, masterpiece, but were just medieval torture. And I think mentally her, again, a great lady, brilliant actress that gave everything to that role and did everything the director wanted, and pushed herself to that level to be able to do that. But she's pretty broken after it.
My gosh.
So that's, another example. Another example of the mental
Imagine you're
torment.
doing one of those scenes in a movie, and it doesn't matter the budget. You're getting paid $5, you're getting paid $5 million.
Yeah.
But after doing a scene 60 times of you like running away from a killer, or like, you know, screaming your heart out because you're like getting murdered or something, surely that's gonna leave some sort of bad energy in that brain of yours. I mean, we are sponges at the end of the day, and you are what you eat, and you are what you think, you know? And if you're thinking these thoughts because you need to deliver this performance, and you're doing it for 20 days straight, and you're doing 60 takes, I mean, surely that's going to have a negative impact. Now imagine that and extrapolate that to like 1 year of prepping for a role, and you're going full method, and you're like every day you're talking like the character, and you're thinking those thoughts, like thinking like the Joker, or thinking like Harley Quinn, you know, whatever. I think that would always have a negative impact. Yeah. And then your ability to overcome that is probably what gets you to go in the separate paths. You go like down the Heath Ledger part where it like kind of overwhelms you, and it kind of takes you down this darker path, or you're able to successfully go, that was great, now that chapter is closed, and move on.
Yeah. Or like Austin, you take bits of it, the middle ground. You still have bits of it that become part of you forever, but they're positive bits. And again, with him, probably because it was a positive story of an incredible man that even though the film was quite sad about his career and what happened to him, Elvis, all in all, it was a great experience, I think, for Austin because it was very positive. So the bits that became part of him from that weren't necessarily laced in like PTSD.
Yeah.
They were laced in like good feelings of accomplishment and doing a legend proud.
True. I think someone that does the really good way, from what I can tell, is Christian Bale. Like, you know, he does a great job of completely taking on these characters, losing a heap of weight, gaining a heap of weight.
Yeah,
like,
let's talk about that now.
He's such a good
the physical.
He's such a good, in a way, like method actor because he does so much for roles. And in a way, Matthew McConaughey's done that too.
Yeah.
But we'll do Christian Bale first.
Yeah.
Christian Bale, I think, has this ability to take on these characters, become something else entirely, and then the moment that it kind of finishes and he no longer needs it, he's able to like just put that aside.
Yeah.
And go, you know, I did that. That was great. Now I can be myself again. Go back to being like his British old self, which was trippy at first. When I first found out he was British, I was like, what?
Yeah.
This guy sounds like a true American.
When I found out James McAvoy was like Irish or something.
He's like Scottish or
something. It's a funny little accent. I thought he was American forever.
Oh my God.
And then after that, I was like, oh no, I bet he's actually English actor because English are the best and they can do any accent, any nationality. No, it's not even English. It's like, sounds like a potato or something.
No, he's Scottish. I'm pretty sure.
Right. All right. Get my power, James McAvoy. Right. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Jeez.
But yeah, so Christian Bale, I think
Bale.
like such a good thing. I think he's someone that I think just, I mean, you know, it's always outside looking in, isn't it? We don't really know. He could be crying in his bedroom for like 6 months after doing a role.
I think he's pretty chill dude.
But he doesn't seem that way, right? He seems like he just takes on these roles, loses a heap of weight, truly becomes them, delivers amazing performances, and then sets it aside, moves on, then takes on the next role, probably
100%.
gains 50 kilos, and then same process
He just
again.
does it. You never hear about him in the media having some domestic with his wife or a falling out or, I mean, he's had a few things on set where he's been aggressive but that's because he's in a scene and there's idiots and amateurs on set that are ruining it for him. So that's going to make you angry, especially when you're depriving yourself of food, torturing your own mind for months to get this scene right. And one of the crew's buggering you up. But apart from those little instances, he seems completely chill. He seems like a very strong-minded, focused dude that does these ridiculous things to his mind and body in order to transform into the roles.
Yeah.
And then, after it's finished, no PTSD, no nonsense, just like, next one. Yeah, that was good. Yeah, next one.
Exactly. I don't know how the hell he does it, but it's just so good.
Amazing.
And then you've got Matthew McConaughey, who lost heaps of weight.
Yeah.
I think he's also someone that does method, but I don't think it's nearly as intense.
No, he's still him to his own degree. He's still himself.
Yeah.
He's never really transformed his sort of look or walk or voice, or he's still a version of him, I feel.
I think so.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's talk about your personal experiences, Jazz. So have you ever gone method? And has that gone like crazy for you, like mentally?
Again, to a degree. I sort of hoped for a long time that I would get to do it again on a big film one day.
Yeah.
But that was a younger me. That was an insecure, fire in my eyes, got to prove myself to the world and be something great me that was willing to sacrifice a part of myself because I thought I wasn't anything. I thought I'm just a vessel for, creative things to come through and tell stories. Now it's like, nah, man, I know what I am and I have a little more self-respect than that.
Yeah.
So I don't feel, for me personally, it's not necessary to do that anymore to the extent that I thought it would be necessary to one day if given a role in a massive film for like millions of dollars. So I feel it's not necessary completely. To a degree, I think it is. You should definitely transform your voice, definitely transform your body, your look, the way you walk, the way you move, your eating habits, your daily routine. I think that would be an excellent way to prepare for a role.
Yeah.
Again, look at like Tom Hardy. And so we can come back to other actors, but like Tom Hardy in The Warrior, did he lose his mind to become? No, he just lived as an MMA fighter for months and trained like them and took their same daily routine.
That's really just you doing research.
Yeah. I feel like that's you becoming the role in a healthy way.
Yeah.
But yeah, having to think their thoughts and eat and drink sort of what you think that character would eat and drink all day, every day, and talk like them to your wife or kids all day, every day in their accent, I don't think that is necessary anymore for an incredible performance. I just don't think it's necessary. But getting back to my experiences with it, again, nothing big yet, so I'm no expert. I'm not a Hollywood superstar. I've never had to really do it in something that's, you know, the world is watching.
Yeah.
I've never had to do it in something as large scale as a Hollywood film where there's millions of eyes watching.
Yeah.
But I have had to do it and test myself to a degree where there was a big production.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's not millions of eyes, but it was a few thousands of eyes.
It's still a lot.
And it was a big script. And yeah, it was a musical I did in high school, P.T. Barnum. And that was sort of the start for me. So I always bring it up now. People say, oh, why you bring up stuff you did as a kid in high school? It doesn't count for anything.
Of course
for
it
me,
does.
it did, because it was the biggest, greatest thing that I could have done. And a 15-year-old shouldn't have really been able to do it. But I did. And I was really proud of myself. And that's when I knew I could be the best actor ever. And I could be just like Leo one day if I worked hard. And that's sort of what set me on the trajectory to want to pursue this thing.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like a cocky bugger for saying that. No, because I'm passionate about it and I love it. And I put in a lot of work, and that's when I found myself and I said, you know what, I'm going to do this damn thing. I'm good at it and I can do it. And it wasn't easy, but over a period of a few months, I transformed myself and into this character, Barnum.
Yeah.
I watched Michael Crawford's performance for preparation. Must have watched the DVD of that show from start to finish 300 times.
Wow.
As well as go over the script and the songs every day. I started to move like the character. My physicality completely changed. And that was the same for probably another year after I finished the show. My body was still moving in the same way. I do all the same mannerisms and gestures. My friends and family would be like, why are you still like in character? I didn't know. I just, it had become a part of me.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'd go and I'd say, hey, how are you doing? Hey, I've got this, I've got that. I can't decide. It's fantastic. Come and see. It was just part of, and why are you talking like that or doing these weird gestures?
Yeah.
It was just a part of, yeah.
It just got imprinted on you.
But it was a good experience. It wasn't a bad experience. It was completely positive in every way because I had to learn circus skills as well. I had to learn all sorts of funny things, jumping on trampolines, getting thrown up and spun around backwards and flipping here and flipping there and walking
so cool.
on big high things and juggling things. And yeah, I think it was very much worth it.
Well, do you think the reason why you got a really positive outcome out of that was because the character was also a really positive guy, like, you know, had a very good history and he wasn't someone that had crazy thoughts and wanted to kill a bunch of people, you know, like, do you...
Yes.
I think maybe that's why.
That's why, again, like Austin with Elvis. Yeah. Jazz Sebastian with P.T. Barnum. Austin
similar.
Butler with Elvis Presley.
But, you know, I think maybe you wouldn't have had a very similar outcome if it was a character that had crazy thoughts, like a serial killer.
No.
Yeah, so imagine if, like, you were someone like Evan Peters, who played the super crazy serial killer. He played Jeffrey Dahmer, and it was insane.
Oh, the one we just watched recently.
Yeah, oh my God, that show was crazy.
He's great, though. That guy has done a lot of chameleon roles. He's done a lot of really weird characters, and I think it's not going to give him PTSD. Trust me, I've seen him do some cool shit.
But imagine if you're like someone that actually gets imprinted easily.
Yeah.
And you like, you know, all of a sudden you're just like, I'm an actor, I have this great role, it's super twisted, but I'm going to go full gangbusters into this thing. And then, maybe you just get imprinted as like a serial killer.
Yeah.
But that would be actually a pretty cool story. Like some actor goes full method and then he becomes the next big serial killer.
Stop the podcast. Shh, don't give our ideas away. We'll turn that into a film.
That actually would be such a cool idea. But I mean, like, imagine.
Now you've told everyone. Edit this bit out. Don't tell everyone.
We'll keep it in. We'll keep it in.
Oh, don't keep it in. Give everyone our idea. They're all filmmakers. I'll steal this as soon as you drop the pen and hit stop.
But yeah, I mean, it's crazy, right? I think it really comes down to like who you are as an actor.
Definitely
and
worth
your
it in some
ability
regards.
To take it on.
Definitely worth it in some regards, for sure.
Yeah.
You can see a lot of positive performances from the method situation, and you also see a lot of mental degradation and people just losing it and becoming unhealthy after changing their body or their thoughts too much for a role.
Yeah.
So again, you've got to choose what's right for you.
Yeah.
I think identifying the character and sort of the traits you like about them, even if it is maybe a dark story, if there are traits of light that you can hang on to within that character, maybe it is something worth considering.
Yeah.
Maybe if it is just a messed up character in a sick, sad world, don't become it and live it and breathe it every day for 6 or 7 months maybe. Is it worth it? How many millions are you getting? If it's a student film for Bond and you've got 3 months to rehearse and is it really worth it?
I mean, I think regardless of the money, I think you have to be someone that is able to compartmentalize. Like you have to be able to take on the stresses of being a method actor and be able to discard those bad elements if there are any.
The Christian Bale approach.
The Christian Bale approach. I think money is really not really the main consideration. I think it's you want to do a great performance, as every actor should and would want to do. But you also need to be healthy and remember that aside from the character, you have your own life to live and your own life to keep. Yeah. So as much as being imprinted is a good thing in some ways, like for your P.T. Barnum story,
and again, that was a hybrid method.
It was a hybrid method. Manage it.
I was still able to interact with family and friends as myself to a degree and eat normally, and so there's a blend you can do that's just right. And I feel going full method may not be the best choice, and it may not be necessary.
What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to know your thoughts.
Yeah, we've been talking for too long now, so we got to end it here.
Thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you in the next one.
In the next one.